Okay, listen really, really carefully to what I'm going to explain now, okay? I've got a small Henry II cut half there. I've got an Edward I silver farthing, I think it is. It's small, look man, it's small. I've got my metal detector set up exactly the same way as with all of the previous tests, and which is set up the same way that I hunt with it on the River Thames, okay? Now I want to show you something. I've got the Nexus test here with 2 iron rods, okay? I personally think that dealing with this scenario with these rods is harder than all of my random iron and crap over there, and I've done so many demonstrations with skanky iron, okay? I think this is harder. And once again, before we start, Nexus performs better in the ground than in air. I've ground balanced it to the ground, okay? So it's going to perform better in the ground, especially a concentric coil. It isn't balanced to 6-7 inches above the ground, okay? So with this discrimination level, what do I get here? Look, I'm in iron reject mode. What do I get? I get some clipping. I get a high tone on the edge. Okay, now watch this. I can't isolate that high tone, okay? That's telling me it's iron. Doesn't mean, oh, it's forcing in iron, it's really shit. No, the point that I have to keep on explaining is, if you learn what iron sounds like with a low disc setting, and you can ID it with a low disc setting, then you're enabling the machine to unmask to the best of its abilities. Okay, I've said that time and time and time again. So as I go along, I might get a high tone, yeah? So what do? I turn on it. I can't isolate that. What about the other end? Same thing, I turn on it. Can't isolate it. Also, if I get a high tone, what am I going to do? You've seen what I do. I move my coil back. There we go. Hear it? Let me turn it up. That distortion that you're hearing, yeah, that distortion is telling you it's iron. This is the exact method that I use on the river, where you've got massive iron, you've got chunky flat iron, deep, shallow, all over the place. So central and side, look. High tone off the edge, turn on it, can't isolate it. High tone on the edge, move the coil back. There we go. That distortion is telling you that you're swinging over iron. Because, yeah, you've got to take into account the coil position in regards to the high tone, okay? So, you know, and there will be people out there going, well, you know, a masked or a quote-unquote masked signal sounds the same as sort of iron. No, it doesn't, you see, because it's got this warmth, and you can, you know, you can slowly rotate, and the nature of the MP, this, like V2, it's the same with the V3 as well. As you isolate, you know, and you try to pick the target out, it gets warmer, and the tone gets bigger, okay? It's a language. I got this cut half, this Henry II cut half. Let's just put it in between. Oh, I just kicked it off, there we go. I could try lots of different combinations and, you know, and fuck around for ages, but there's no point. That's a challenging scenario. You're not going to find a scenario like that out in the field when hunting for, you know, stuff that size. So let's just review it once more, okay? This is what my Thames settings give me. Rotate. I get clipping on the edge. I get a high tone on the very edge, turn on it. Can't isolate it. That's telling me it's iron, yeah? That's how I hunt in iron, and that's how I set my machine up, okay? Yeah, I just wanted to add an afterthought before I end the video. And it's like with the kind of rise of the digital machines, which allow pretty much anyone just to go to a shop, buy it and start metal detecting. You don't really need to know what you're doing. You know, companies and the people that claim to be sort of, you know, detector experts on YouTube, they really are warping people's mind in regards to how they think a machine should act and respond in iron. And this is where, with what I do with all of my analogs and especially the Nexus, there's this disconnect, you see. We've been made to believe now by the companies that produce all of these tech machines and a few of the people that claim to be experts on them, they're pushing this benign bollocks about a machine shouldn't force in iron at all. You know? Why is that? Well, you don't have to think then, do you? If you're going in, if you're hunting in iron and the machine is literally just giving you low tones all the time, you don't have to know what you're doing, you don't have to know what you're listening for, nothing. You're just waiting for that high tone. You're waiting for the machine to serve you, to tell you, oh, dig, there's a potential treasure item here, okay? In my mind, it doesn't work like that. I run the discrimination on all my machines as low as possible. I have rather a noisy hunt when I'm hunting in iron, but I know how to ID iron with a low disc setting, which I demonstrated to you in this test, yeah? And when I'm going along, I'm not just mindlessly swinging like a dickhead. You know, I'm nice and slow, I'm analysing everything, you know, isolating high tones and IDing deep flat iron and just taking my time. So the landscape that you're on, you can almost see in your mind with the way that with what the machine is telling you from an audible point of view, but also where the coil position is in relation to the potential target you're swinging over. Yeah. So when you mesh all of that together, you can go into iron infested sites and you know exactly sort of, you know, how to move the coil, coil height, you know, how to ID large iron. So you're not muting the whole sort of landscape out, okay? You're letting as much through as possible. That's how I hunt with that machine. And this is the disconnect, because people look at the videos and then they're like, well, it's making a high tone in the iron, it's forcing, it's not a huntable setting. I hunt not only with the Nexus, but with all my machines with literally the lowest discrimination that I can get away with, okay? Now I might be repeating myself here, but it's because the trolls and the imbeciles and the people that seem to be intent on giving me a hard time are not listening to what I'm saying, okay? And that's why I said that with this machine, you do not set it up like a digital machine where all of the iron is just completely phased out with a low tone. If you do that, you're wasting your time and you're wasting your money, okay? And don't get me wrong, if you want to hunt like that, which seems to be what everyone does with the Manticore, with the Deus 2, with all of these machines, hunt like that, I don't care. But don't come talk, you know, with your bollocks, your ill-informed bollocks, saying like, oh, the Nexus forces in iron and the Nexus this and an analog that. It's a different ball game, okay? One is an art form, the other is the equivalent of ordering takeout on the internet, yeah? It serves you, it arrives, you get the desired result. Analog detecting and Nexus, they ain't like that. They don't serve you.